Hallo ihr Lieben, wir machen heute eine kurze Wiederholung von dem Genitiv. Hi everyone, we're going to do a quick review of genitive case. Now you already learned genitive when you had German 3, so this is going to go really fast, but I'm just going to reiterate some of the things that you learned to make sure that maybe you have them fresh in your mind. So first of all, when you have genitive case, what does it show? What do we use it for? What I mean is, when we had nominative, it was the subject, accusative was the direct object, and dative was the indirect object, but what the heck is it when it's genitive? So, hopefully you answered, and it is possession. Possession. So it shows that you own something, or that somebody owns something. So one of the things that you will have noticed for genitive case is that there are no personal pronouns. The reason we don't have personal pronouns is because it doesn't make any sense to have personal pronouns when you're showing possession. However, you have been using the ein words or the possessive adjectives or possessive pronouns, whichever what you want to call them, all along. And those are the adjectives or the possessive pronouns that are associated with the genitive case. So those are words like mein, dein, sein, ihr, and sein on the singular side. Let me move that up for you. And on the plural side, that was unser, euer, euer, and ihre. Yeah. Ignore that er. I'm sorry, I already added an adjective ending to it. So just ihr, and ihr. So of course those go along with I, you, he, she, and it. And then we, you all, and they, and you formal. So those were your pronouns that were associated with this case. We never really connected those, but again, they show possession, so they belong with this case. So, the thing that I really want to focus on is how you structure sentences when you have the genitive case. So you may have something like, I'm going to start with an English sentence just to make sure. You may have something like, the tall man's purse, he's got a man purse, is blue. The tall man's purse is blue. So we have possession in that sentence. And the thing that is being possessed in this case is the purse, right? That's the thing that is actually being owned. When you think about this whole piece, the entirety of this piece, it's just one item, right? It's the purse, and we're just modifying who it belongs to. That whole thing is the subject. But within it, we have to break it down into the cases because we have to, of course, show one, what the actual subject is, which is this purse, and then who it belongs to, which is the tall man. So what that tells you is this is the part that needs to stay in nominative case because it is the actual physical thing that is the subject. And then this descriptor, just like in English, we have this little dash s. This is the part that is in genitive. I hope that makes sense so far. Now, I'm going to show you that sentence in German, but I'm going to modify this a little bit, and I'll show you why in a minute, and I'm going to name this man Tom. Okay, so this guy's name is Tom. So the German sentence would be, and I actually ran out of space on the bottom, Die Handtasche des großen Mannes ist blau. So there are a couple of things that I want you to pay attention to. First of all, we have some word order changes. So in English we say the tall man's purse. So purse is the last thing. We just use it like an adjective in the front. However, in German we have the actual subject, the part that is possessed in the front, in this construction anyway, and then we have the description of the person or thing that possesses it following that. So you have die Handtasche, which is completely nominative, so you have a primary ending here. And there's no modifier, so I can't show you secondary endings. And then you have des großen Mannes. So if you look at the case chart on the wall, you have S plus S. Mann is of course masculine, so you have S plus S. Here's one S. Here's the other S, right? That goes on the end of the actual noun. And then you have this EN. So if you're looking at the case chart, that is your secondary ending, because that is a modifying adjective. So that second S goes on the noun no matter what you stick in between. S plus S, and there's my secondary ending in the middle. And ist blau is just subject completion at the end here. Okay, so far so good, but we said this guy's name is Tom. So Tom is the person that owns the bag, and this is where it gets a little confusing. If we know a person's name, or if the thing, if it's a person owning something, and you have a name for that person, a specific name, not the teacher, but a name, not a title, then it's going to be structured very much like this English sentence. So I would say, Tom's, notice there's no apostrophe, Handtasche ist blau. Right, so the word order switches if you have a descriptor or a title of some sort, but it stays the same as in English if you have a name. And all you're doing is dropping that apostrophe. Tom's Handtasche ist blau. Okay, I'm going to have some samples that I want you guys to look at and translate for me. So you have, first of all, the man's name. Then you have the store's location. And the last one is the students' grades. Okay, so I want you guys to go in and look at these three phrases and translate them into German. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out to you is all of these we have another way of saying in English as well that sounds maybe a little bit more formal. That's the way we're saying them in English, of course. So the name of the man, the location of the store or of this store, and then the grades of the students. So all of these we can say just like we do in German because none of these are using names. So that's one thing to remember, is think of the of. And the other thing I want to look at for 1 second is this construction in English. Now, in German, this construction is unnecessary because we don't usually pluralize with S, and if we do, there's a rule, not just for plurals. If you're ending in an S sound, so S sounds are the S itself, the sharp S, TZ, the Z sound itself sometimes sounds like an S. So anything that might sound like an S, you're going to just add an apostrophe. Okay, single one that looks like two. Just add an apostrophe. Now, a lot of the time when it is spoken, we make it a cis sound, right? So for example, if you have Agnes and you wanted her to own something, so Agnes Tasche, we would usually either say this as Agnes's Tasche, or we would switch to dative case and just avoid the genitive altogether and say die Tasche von Agnes. Okay, but this is how you write it. This is how a lot of people will say it in order to clarify that there is a possessive in there. So, I'd like you guys to finish these. They're going to pop up on your screen and let you enter what you think is the right choice. There's going to be some options. And then when you finish that, in your composition book under your notes, I'd like you to solve this section. So in this section, you actually end up having two sentences and you're combining them into one, so you're being very efficient. So, dort sind die Schuhe gehören meiner Mutter, becomes dort sind die Schuhe meiner Mutter. Of course, this just means to belong to, and we're showing that relationship now with genitive case. Okay, that is it for today.